Your assessment can go up. You know, a lot of people, they get an assessment in the mail and they see it going up and they think, wow, my assessment just went up 20%. Does that mean my taxes went up 20%? And the answer is no. An assessment change almost never involves the same amount of change in taxes. And for a lot of people in Chicago this year, I dare say even a majority, most people whose homeowner's assessment went up, their tax bill may be going down next year because the overall base of property value, of assessed value in the city is growing even more. If your share of the total assessed value falls, your bill can go down even if your assessment goes up. So we're going to show you a little bit more information, more context to help you show you this. But what we want you to know is that a change in your assessment does not involve the same change in taxes. Okay, let's dig a little bit deeper into the data, the context of the reassessment. I wanted to show you this information right here. You can see on the map the area that we just reassessed in Chicago. This is the last part of Chicago that we're reassessing this year. We haven't had a chance to reassess Chicago yet. And so if you live in the area south of Pershing, west or east of State, that is the area we just assessed. It's called Hyde Park Township. And I know a lot of folks are like, well, I live in Woodlawn. I don't live in Hyde Park. So Hyde Park Township, there are a lot of different neighborhoods in this part of Chicago. It's not only Woodlawn and Hyde Park, but it's Bronzeville, it's Washington Park, it's Grand Crossing, Park Manor, Chatham, Hill Hill, South Shore, the Bush, East Side, Pullman, Roseland. It's a lot of different neighborhoods. And so the numbers that I'm giving you here sort of reflect what's going on average, but each neighborhood has different circumstances, and we'll be able to give you more information on Woodlawn in just a second. But here you can see, I just showed you the map of price.
Yes.
So here you can see if we go back to the previous slide, you can see the chart of prices. Can we go back to the previous slide, guys? There we go. You can see the prices have been rising overall in this great big swath of the South Side. Now, these prices are generally lower than in the rest of the city. So the average housing price that we're seeing is $150,000 for a home, for a single family home in 2020. Now, it's a little bit different in Washington Park. Some of the average housing values are higher than this, and we have seen a lot of increases. We know that the market has moved for several different years with the construction of the Obama Library and gentrification. But generally, this is the direction we're seeing across the South Side. Now you see this big green line. It's showing a range of prices. That area within the green is sort of like the middle third of homes that sold each year. So you can see in that middle third of homes, it's between $95,000 and $140,000, and $120,000 to $180,000 for condos, and that's sort of the range. That's the range of our estimated value. And the key question for everyone here on the call today is, did we estimate the value of your home correctly? If you think there's no way you could sell it for the price that we estimated it at, we might have overassessed it, which is totally possible. We'll tell you about what we can do about that. But that's sort of the key test. Did we estimate the value of your home correctly? If you think we estimated it too high, then that is a good basis for an appeal. And we'll tell you how to do that later in the call. Okay, let's go to the next slide now. I just wanted to show you real briefly some of the assumptions we made about commercial properties. This would cover properties on 63rd Street or Stony or Cottage. The key thing is that we know the circumstances that affect commercial properties on those corridors are very different from 53rd Street, 43rd Street. We want to make sure that we're assessing based on the conditions that reflect the corridors in your neighborhood. We are going to be doing another call with members of the Woodlawn Chamber focusing on commercial properties. Today, we're going to mostly focus our comments on residential. I just want you all to know that there's a lot of information on our site about commercial, and we'll be having another call about commercial soon. We can go to the next slide here. Here's what I wanted to show you, that it matters not only how we assess your home, but how we're assessing other homes, other properties. It's really important because that affects your share of the tax bill and burden, and it affects your tax bill. So what we're seeing in Hyde Park Township is something that we've seen across the city and in previous years when we reassessed the suburbs. What we are seeing is that homeowners have a smaller share of the burden following the initial round of our reassessment. In Hyde Park Township, homeowners had 64% of the burden, as you can see in this chart here, before the reassessment. After the reassessment, homeowners have 58% of the burden, so it's declining. Why is that? Generally, commercial properties tended to be more underassessed than homeowners in the previous administration, and we have corrected for that. So we're seeing commercial and non-industrial properties rise more in their assessment because we're just estimating the market value of all these properties. They're rising more than homeowners, and that's reducing homeowners' share. This is something that we're seeing across the city. Across the city, homeowners' share of the burden is down about 10 percentage points in our initial round of assessments. This will change a little bit with appeals at our office and the board of review, but generally the trend that we've seen the last couple of years is continuing. Homeowners have a smaller share of the burden, and that's going to translate into savings for the vast majority of homeowners. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Now, I know all of you like to dig into detail about what's going on in the neighborhood. So to get a lot more detail, you can go to our website. To get your notice, so if you got your reassessment notice in the mail, you'll see that there's a neighborhood code. Or you can go to our website and check out your property just by typing in your address or your parcel identification number. And then you'll see that there's something called a neighborhood code in there. What you can do is then at our website, go in and look at what's going on in your neighborhood. You can go to cookcountyassessor.com, then go to the data tab, and then the valuation reports tab, and click on Hyde Park Township. And there will be a map there where you can see what's going on in your specific part of the township, and you can see housing prices, transactions that happen, how many transactions happen, what the range was for different kinds of properties. Here on the right, here's some high-level information about Hyde Park Township. There are about 48,000 single-family homes, of which about 1,500 sold last year in 2020. Sorry, 2020, not 2021. The range was around 100 to 190,000 in that middle third. Our assessments are 110 to 170 for that middle third. You can see in the second row what we found for 2 to 6 flats. So they're 15,800 2 to 6 flats, classic Chicago buildings. We have a lot of those in Woodlawn. There are about 680 that sold in 2020. You can see the price range there and the estimated range of values in the 110 to 190,000 range for that middle third. And then at the bottom, you can see condos. There are about 13,700 condos, 585 sold last year. There's a lot more detail that I know you guys like to dig into on our website. Okay, I know y'all are getting impatient, so we're going to get to the good stuff about how you navigate this system. What I just wanted to reemphasize was just a couple of concepts. If we go to the next slide, we are about 230 people estimating the value of 1.9 million properties in Cook County. So we have to take computer models, information about homes that have sold, about the homes that have not sold, and try to come up with a value for them the way that the market would. Now, this is a mass appraisal process. We don't have sometimes a lot of information that's relevant on every individual home. This can cause our assessments to be off the mark, and we want to walk humbly when that happens. So this is why we have the appeals process. Hector is going to tell you how you can do this. We also have something called exemptions, which kind of take some of the assessed value off of the top on your home to provide you additional savings. We want to make sure that everyone on this call and those who live near you, your loved ones, people in your network, that they're getting all the exemptions that they deserve, because that can save them money. It can keep more money in the neighborhood, and we'll tell you how to do that. So with that, without any further ado, I'm going to hand it off to Hector. We're going to descend down from this big picture I gave you down to how you can navigate and advocate for yourself in this process. Hector?
Thank you so much, boss. Very quickly, can everyone hear me? Thumbs up if you can hear me. Beautiful. Okay, I don't know what was happening earlier. The sound kept going in and out, so I apologize. My name is Hector Dominguez. I'm here on behalf of the Cook County Assessor's Office. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. You could have been anywhere else in the world, but you're here with us, so we appreciate it. Very quickly, before we do anything else, if you have a question and you're like me, where sometimes things just like pop out of your brain and you forget, go ahead and write that down in the chat section. That way we can go ahead and tackle that when the time is right. We do have someone, Teresa Chandler is in the comment section right now answering questions also. That way, if you have to go or you can't stay the whole time, you don't have to worry about that either. And this is being recorded, so you can always pause, fast forward, rewind, reverse, whatever you want to do. So very quickly, triennials, reassessments. What are we talking about, y'all? Basically, property in Cook County, just reiterating what boss just shared, property in Cook County gets reassessed every 3 years. So this year, it's you guys. You guys have 30 days, a total of 30 days, to file your appeal. Your deadline is the 22nd, I believe. Let me double check that bad boy really quick. But I'm pretty sure it is January 22nd. Let me double check. 21st. It is January 21st. So just want to make sure you guys have that date. Write it down. My people, please write it down so that we don't wait till the last minute to try to appeal and then something happens and then we can't appeal that. Taking into consideration good faith efforts to lease and rent property while encouraging economic development. Basically, some people do have properties that they were not able to rent, not able to fill, or there was a fire, or it was uninhabitable. Whatever the case is, if that's you, we're going to talk about vacancy in a little bit as well. Give me a second. So on your left-hand side, or my left-hand side, sorry, is a reassessment notice. It's black and white and gray, and that comes from our office. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This is not a tax bill. This just lets you know what our office believes your property is worth. If we are close to the worth or the value of your property, then you have absolutely nothing to do. If we are wrong, like really wrong, then you're in the right place here tonight. On the right-hand side is a tax bill. It's yellow, blue, and white. You get 2 tax bills a year from the Cook County Treasurer's Office, not the Assessor's Office. You get a blue bill when it's cold outside, and you get a yellow bill when it's warm and sunny outside. The second installment bill, which is this yellow bill, has your discounts on it if you have applied for them, or if they were auto-renewed, depending on when you started. Again, your deadline is January 21st. Please, please, please make sure you write this number down, that date down. So there are different reasons why taxpayers might want to appeal. I'm going to go over the 3 most common. There are several, but I'm going to go over the 3 most common. The first one is lack of uniformity. This means myself. Let's pick a name from the crowd. Jeff Phillips and the assessor all live on the same block, house built with the same person, same size, same color, same blueprint, same everything. But for whatever reason, my value is greater than everyone else's, which means it's not uniform to everyone else's, and I want to know why. Most taxpayers choose lack of uniformity. Next is overvaluation. That's probably everybody here. There is no way my property is worth this much. If the property was worth this much, I would send it back to you right now, right? And then the third most common reason is incorrect property description or property description error. This just means there's a factual error, not an opinionated error. What's the difference? A factual error is our office says your property is a single family home, but it's really a building with 6 apartments. It's really a condo. Or our property says you have a condo, but it's really a bungalow. Or our office says you have, 2,000 square feet, but you really have 1,200 square feet. There is a factual error. When you're filing an appeal, please understand that filing an appeal is completely free, 100% free with our office. Some of you all may have gotten something in the mail from an attorney's office or some law firm someone promising all kind of things. You have every right to use these people. You don't need to. If I do my job correctly, at the end of the night, you will feel confident in your ability to file your appeal on your own. All you need to file an appeal is a valid email address. It's best for you to start your appeal once your township is open. You have a total of 30 days. Again, your deadline is January 21st. So that gives us what, 11 days? That gives us 11 days before your township closes. You can start your appeal. You can save your appeal. You can edit, modify your appeal. You can attach documents. You can attach pictures, sales analysis. I was going to say praise reports. We're not at church. Appraisals, documentation, additional pins, anything you want, you can attach to your appeal. Now, to file your appeal, it's super easy. All you have to do is go to cookcountyassessor.com, click the appeals tab, and then file online appeal. Now, if you have a residential property, you want to make sure you go on where it asks you to file your appeal all the way to the bottom where it says CCAO, Cook County Assessor's Office, Appeals, 2021 Real Estate Assessed Evaluation Appeal, Residential, very important, with comparable grade. This allows you to find comparable properties. Now, I want to speak on that. You don't need to provide our office with comparable properties. Our office is going to do that for you. However, we understand that you might be the type of person that wants to do that. So if you want to do that, this is how you go about it. I'm also going to show you a little bit more in depth in a second. Finding comparable properties, again, you don't need to do this, but if you want to, this is how you would do it. If you want to take a second and screenshot this or write this down or press pause on the video, cookcountyassessor.com. What are comparable properties with dash marks in between everything? This is how or where you would find your comparable property for your specific property. Well, what happens after you find them? How do you attach them? I'm going to show you that right now. So when you are filing your appeal, this is exactly what it's going to look like. Exactly. Each window has its own set of questions. There is no legal work that needs to be done. There is nothing hard about this whatsoever. We've literally taken the application and just digitized it. We just put it online for people who want to file online. All you have to do is click each tab and answer the question. That's it. I want to draw your attention to additional pins. This is only for taxpayers who have prorated property. What's a prorated property? That is a property that has more than one PIN number. So you would know if you had a prorated property because you would receive more than 2 tax bills a year for the same property. If that's you, then you definitely have a prorated property. But if it's not you, then you just completely ignore everything I just said. Lastly, attachments. This is where you would submit an appeal narrative, an appraisal, closing documentation if you have them, pictures if you have them. Basically anything you want to submit on your behalf can go here. All you gotta do is select the file and upload. You can start your appeal. You can save your appeal. You can return to your appeal later. It doesn't have to be done right away or in one sitting. However, it does need to be done by the 21st. Once you submit your application, guys, you cannot change it. Once you click the big submit button and then are you sure you want to submit button, it is done. So please just make sure that whatever you're doing, you're taking your time, you're being patient, you're measuring twice and cutting once. Hyde Park Township, once again, your deadline for appeals is the 21st. Now, what are these exemptions? What is this, right? Our office has different programs to offer discounts on property taxes. Real simple. You have the homeowner exemption. If you owned and occupied your property January 1 of 2020, then you qualified. You would have received it on your tax bill that you got over the summer. Senior citizens, if you were born in 1955 or before, then you qualified. For senior freeze, if you were born in 1955 or before, did not make more than $65,000 as a total household income and owned and occupied the property January 1, 2019 and January 1, 2020, then you qualify. Persons with disability exemption, our office has no authority to tell you if you're disabled or not. That's not what we do. So we give you an application, you take that to your doctor fills it out and then says, yes, you are, or no, you're not. You send that back to our office, and then if you meet the requirements, you get that discount as well. Returning veterans exemption, this is for any veteran that's returning from active duty. And this exemption kind of works like a 2-year exemption. It works for the year you return and for 1 year later. Veterans with disability exemption, this is my favorite exemption. If you are a veteran with a disability rates of 30% or greater, you get a discount. If you are 30 to 49%, you get X removed off of your tax bill. If you are 50 to 69%, you get X removed off of your tax bill. And if you are 70 to 100%, you don't pay property taxes at all as long as your home is not worth more than $800,000. The long-term exemption. I got a feeling this is going to be everyone's question. This is for anyone who owned and occupied their property as of January 1, 2010. That's the first requirement. The second requirement is that you do not make more than $100,000 as a total household income. And then the third requirement is that your equalized assessed value, not your market value, not your assessed value, your equalized assessed value has increased significantly depending on where you live at. This is an actual equation that our office has to run. Once they run this equation, we find out who qualifies. Everyone that qualified, which is only like 2% of the county, was sent an application via mail. If you don't remember getting this application, or you know you didn't, chances are you don't qualify. However, I would love to sit up here and say our office gets it right 100% of the time, but we do not. So if you feel you qualified, you can contact our office directly with your PIN number and your phone number, and we will look that up for you. I will show you how to do that in a couple slides. The last exemption is the home improvement exemption. I'm sorry. This is for anyone who pulls a permit up to $75,000. So anything up to $75,000 is covered. You are not taxed on that for 4 years. Anything above that $75,000, you are responsible for. So now what happens if, you can also check this information on our portal, cookcountypropertyinfo.com. Here, this is a super valuable website. A lot of people use it. It shows the amounts of your tax bill that have been previously paid, if they've been paid in full or not, if you have any refunds available, if you received any of your exemptions, if you had any tax sales on your property, that's super important. If you have any document, deed, or liens, or any type of deed changes or documentation changes on your property, that information will be here. Any appeals you may have filed, your property characteristics, and then just the information, right? The address of the property, the owner of the property, all that information can be found here. But what happens if you should have received an exemption, but you did not? It got lost in the mail. We fumbled, you fumbled, doesn't matter. Somebody dropped the ball somewhere. We have something called a certificate of error program. This allows you to go back up to 3 years. So we can do the current year and 2019 and 2018 and 2017. So that's 4 years of potential savings. Guys, when we're not doing these Facebook Lives, these Zooms, these YouTube events, this is what our actual 9 to 5 consists of. I love helping people get thousands of dollars back. This isn't a reward. This isn't some type of trick. This isn't money you have to pay us back. Like, this money belongs to you, and it's super easy to see if you qualify or not. I'm going to show you how to do that in a couple more slides, but it's very easy to do, guys. It literally takes you maybe 2 minutes. All the work is on our end, but you can file a certificate of error, and then in doing so, if you qualify, you will get a refund back for the amount of money that should have been deducted from your tax bill. Now, this is a second installment tax bill. We already talked about this, but I want to show you something. This red portion here is where your exemptions are going to be listed. This is where your homeowner exemption would be, your senior citizen, your senior freeze, your disabled veteran, returning veteran, all those would be listed here. The only one that would not be listed here is the long-time exemption. That is listed under important messages. I don't know why the treasurer's office does it that way. They just do, they separate it, but that has nothing to do with us. Now, earlier I said if you wanted to contact us directly, I would show you how. This is how you want to do so. CookCountyAssessor.com. And that's all you have to do. You can call us 312-443-7550. We are socially active. You can DM us, you can inbox us, you can comment on any of our posts. We do have someone checking this every single day. You can follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. We are accessible in multiple different ways, guys. We want to help. This is what we're doing. We were one of the first offices to go digital. We wanted to make sure that we were accessible during COVID. So make sure you take advantage of all the ways that you can get in contact with us. So now what I want to do is I want to stop sharing my screen. And I want to do the Q&A. So now, is anyone going to jump on with me? Is anyone going to ask the question, or you want me to just go through the questions and answer them? Byron?
Hector, can you hear me?
Oh my gosh, I can't hear. Oh, what is happening? There we go. We're good.
Hey, Hector, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you can go through some of the questions that people pose. I can also kick it off by sharing a few questions right on the screen. How do you want to do it?
Typically, the host asks the question, and then myself and the assessor jump in and answer.
Okay, and other people can feel free to put something in the chat. Let me just put up a few. I'm going to do it like this. Oh,
wow, perfect.
These were some of the questions people submitted earlier.
Yep. Okay, so I can take the first one if that's okay with you, boss.
Yeah, go ahead, Hector, and then I'll jump in at the end.
Perfect. So how do I lower my taxes and how to combine a PIN? Those are two separate questions, but we're going to tackle them both. So how do you lower your taxes? What we just talked about. So you want to make sure you're receiving all of your exemptions. The way you do that is you look at your tax bill, or you go to our website, cookcountyassessor.com or cookcountypropertyinfo.com, and make sure you're getting all the discounts that you qualify for. The second way to do this is if you feel your property value is outrageous and it doesn't make sense at all, you want to file an appeal. If you get a reduction in your appeal, that will be reflected on the next second installment tax bill. So you'll see that discount if it is granted on your next second installment tax bill. As far as combining PINs, that's called a consolidation. All you have to do is contact our divisions department. It's super simple. You can send us an email, or we can have somebody put it in the comment section. But it's super easy. It's an application you fill out, turn in. You got to pay a fee for it. I don't remember the fee off the top of my head, but it's super easy. It's not hard at all. The next question is, I'm sorry.
No, please, sorry.
The next question is, I want to appeal my tax hike, but don't know what documentation to attach. So that's a question we just covered as well, right? In the attachment area, you can, okay, so first of all, you don't have to attach anything. You saying that you want to file an appeal based on lack of uniformity, based on characteristics changes or incorrect characteristics or overvaluation, all that information you can just send in. But if you have a closing documentation with your appraisal in it, you can submit that. If you have a sales analysis, you can submit that. If you have comparable properties or other PIN numbers, you can submit that. If you have pictures, you can submit that. If you have a narrative or like a note that you wrote or some type of way you want to communicate with our office, you can submit that as well. Everything can be submitted in that portion that we just showed you. And I'm going to show you again just so that it's fresh in your minds.
While Hector is doing that, one person in the chat had a good question that was relevant to this. Joe Martin had a question. He said, hey, there are 20 different row houses on my block, and my assessment was higher than the other row houses on my block. So this is a case where you can give us additional information, including pictures or context like that in your appeal, but you do not have to. In your appeal, you can just say, hey, I'd like to have another look comparing my home with the other townhomes next to mine, and our office will look at it in a bunch of different ways. So you don't let the need to do a huge amount of research prevent you from sending in an appeal. It's very easy to do. It just takes a couple minutes. You can do it on your phone. But in your appeal, you can add that context about, hey, there are a lot of identical row houses on my block and I'm being assessed higher than on them. I shouldn't be. If you want to give information about the conditions, you mentioned the steps or other building conditions that would cause your building to be valued lower than your neighbors. Provide that information in the appeal, including pictures. That's the kind of things you can do in your appeal. We welcome that. We don't have enough information in our office about building conditions, especially in the interior. So that's the kind of thing that can be helpful to mention in your appeal so that we're getting it right for you. Hector?
Absolutely. And this right here is where you would do that. So if you do have something you want to submit, right here is where you would want to do it under the attachments tab. All right, the next question is, can the estimated and total assessed value for 2021 is close to 3 times or 300% the value of 2020. How can I determine if such a large change is accurate and what impact would this have on my property taxes? So unfortunately, there is no way to guesstimate what your tax bill is going to be, right? However, what you can do is if you feel that this value is incorrect, just file your appeal. Our office will go back in and double check. I would love to sit here and say that we get it right all the time, but we don't. And there is a step number 2, guys. Our office is step number 1. You can appeal with our office. If you're not satisfied with the results you get from our office and the appeal from our office, you can absolutely appeal with the Cook County Board of Review. If our office said no, their office can still say yes. So that's just another option for you all to have. Can a resident?
And just building on that, the answer to this question, Hector, the key thing to look at is did we estimate the value of your building correctly? And you probably have a sense for what it would trade for in the market. You know, if we overestimated its value, that is the kind of thing that is a good basis for appeal, as Hector mentioned. And that's the main thing that I would look for. And you know, we are a couple hundred people trying to estimate the value of close to 2 million properties. So you have more information about your home than we do. If you can present that information to us, we make sure that we walk humbly to get it right.
Absolutely. We're not here, guys. I know the stigma. I've been working for the government since I was 15 years old. I know that there's this idea that we're out to get everybody. I understand that. The reality is, with our office specifically, I can't speak for nobody else, but for the assessor's office, we take pride in doing it right. So this is why we do these things. We want to make sure we have the correct information. We want to make sure we have the right amount of information to help get the right values and whatnot. So if you feel we're wrong, go ahead and let us know. Worst case scenario, absolutely nothing happens, right? We're not going to sit here, you guys appeal, and then we're going to get all up in our feelings and say, oh, how dare they, and then spike your value. That's not how this works. Worst case scenario, absolutely nothing happens. Best case scenario, you get a reduction and you're happy. Next question, can a resident qualify for tax bill if the property was recently in probate or transferred to the heir? So you can only file an appeal on property you own. So as long as you own that property, you can file the appeal. Next question, is a recent appraisal considered in an appeal? All right, so this is a loaded question, and this is not legal counsel. Again, this is not legal counsel. I'm not an attorney. You can't pay me to give you legal counsel. However, I personally would not use an appraisal older than like 18 months because values change every 3 years. We already know that, right? So that's just my personal opinion. What my property's value is today, and it's not going to be that way in 18, 20 months. That's just not how it works. So I personally would not do that. If you have a newer appraisal, I would absolutely use that. Again, this is not legal counsel. I'm not telling anyone what to do. I'm just saying if it was me and I had a current or a super recent appraisal, I would absolutely use it. That's what I actually did when I filed my own appeal when I bought my house. So next, for condo owners, can we file on our own for any home exemptions, or do we have to go through the condo association before filing? Okay, so I think you're asking me two different questions, but I'm going to answer them anyway. So the first question is, can a condo owner file their own homeowner exemption? Absolutely. As long as you own the property, you can file for the exemption. If you're a co-op, which is something a little bit different, you want to file your exemptions together with everybody else, but that's only if you're a co-op, and you would know if you're a co-op. So if you're wondering if you are or not, you're probably not. Now, when it comes to filing an appeal, that's a little bit different. Can you file an appeal on your own if you are a condo? Absolutely. You can appeal any property you own. However, it would probably work in your best interest if everyone in the building appealed together. I'm not saying you have to do that. I'm just saying it looks, if everyone's saying their value's wrong, something's got to be there. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? If only one person is saying their value's wrong, then I don't know. But again, that's just my opinion.
And just building on that, Hector, and for the question from the person out there in the audience, we have to do our assessments of condos on the whole condo building rather than individual units. Like under the law, we have to assess the whole building, and then your percentage of ownership of the building in your articles of association becomes your assessment. So that's why it's important that your condo association lead the process of appealing it, because then we're reducing the value on the whole building, which will get the maximum impact for you.
Absolutely. The next one is, how do you go about choosing which properties to compare? And do you choose the number of abandoned properties within the 5 mile radius? Boss, you want to jump in on this one?
Could you repeat the question there? I was looking at a question in the chat.
I was too. We're probably looking at the same one too. But how do you go about choosing which properties to compare? And do you consider the number of abandoned properties within a 5 mile radius?
So first of all, when you do an appeal, you do not have to come up with your own comparables. That's the first thing to know. You can just do an appeal, and our system will look at the most comparable properties in several different ways. First of all, we try not to compare abandoned properties to occupied properties. That's like comparing apples and oranges. We also try not to compare properties that are really far from each other. Imagine how different properties are in a 5 mile radius from you in Woodlawn. We got all sorts of different homes in every direction. We wouldn't want to value your home in the same way that we'd value a home in Kenwood, much less, even in different parts of Woodlawn. So we really try to look at a coastal radius of half a mile. But the key thing is we're looking at properties like yours. When we're doing our modeling, we are really trying to be sensitive to locations so that properties in Hyde Park are not influencing the value of properties in Woodlawn, for example, because we know they're priced very differently in the market. And so we don't want to come up with an average between Hyde Park and Woodlawn, because that might result in overvaluation of Woodlawn. That's what Alderman Taylor was talking about before. So we really try to make sure that we're very sensitive to location and transactions that happen in your neighborhood to try to value the homes in your neighborhood.
I'm going to try to read this. I think they're saying the long time exemption, how is family income determined? So we have a income verification form literally on the back of it. Well, not anymore, actually. We have a new form, but on the old form, it was right on the back. We are actually just literally ripping what's on your income tax information. So it's anyone in that home that brings in an income. That's the answer. It's for the long time, it's 100,000 as a total household income gross. So that's you, spouse, any adult living in there. And there is an income verification form. And if you just so happen to be audited, they will ask you for proof, which is typically your income tax information. So I'm just going to leave that there. The next one, I purchased a home in October 2021. Should I be appealing my taxes now? Legally, I cannot tell you when you should be appealing or not. However, if you just bought your home and you bought it for X amount of dollars and you were just reassessed for X amount of dollars, if it's close, I wouldn't do anything. But if it's drastically different, then I would definitely use that as part of my appeal. That's actually what happened to me. How far back does the property valuation history go on the website? So on our website, in our system, we go back to 1993. On the website, I'm not 100% sure. Anything before that, you would have to contact the Cook County Clerk's office. But yeah, in our system, so if you contact us directly, we can go back all the way to 1993. Did I mistakenly hear that an increase in assessed value doesn't necessarily mean property taxes will go up? That's exactly what you heard. Boss, you want to jump in on that one?
Yeah, you can have an increase in your assessment, but have the taxes go down. And that's happened to many people in the previous years that we did a reassessment. And it is likely to happen to many people in Chicago this year. Why is that? Because rates do not stand still. Your assessment can go up, but the rate that is applied to your home can go down. Why is that? Because the property tax base is also growing. The assessed value base is also growing in the city. So far, the assessed value base in Chicago is up about 40%. Now, it will come down a little bit with appeals at our office and the board review, but if your assessment is up 10 or 20%, there likely will be there very likely could be a decline next year, because that base will have to fall a lot from what we've just completed to be comparable to the change in your own assessed value. So think of that. Think of what's going on in Chicago as kind of a baseline. So far, that baseline's up about 40%. It'll whittle down a little bit, but if your assessment's up less than that, you're highly likely to get savings in your tax bill next year. Again, we have to see how appeals shake out at our office and the board review, but that's what we can see right now. And so it's a good reminder that a change in your assessment in no way is going to translate to the same percentage share change in your taxes, and they may go in opposite directions. We will, if you want to keep following the story, you can see we will be updating on our website to see following appeals how assessed value in the city has changed, and that's the number to follow if you want to see how it's going to affect your tax bill. We think this is a good thing for all of you to be following, because it's a good reminder that it's not just your assessment that affects your tax bill, it's how other buildings are assessed too. We've been reassessing the big buildings downtown. They're absorbing more of the base, they'll be absorbing more of the taxes, and that can mean that your bill could go down even though your own assessment went up.
Absolutely. What if you have a dysfunctional condo board? Look, this is a democracy. Vote them people out. Literally.
Yeah.
And
being a good
citizen,
citizen, you can take the lead and say, hey, we don't think you're being functional here as a condo board and you're affecting our property taxes. So we want answers and we want you to take action here. That's just putting on my citizenship hat rather than my assessor's hat. But your condo board plays a very important role in taking the lead and making sure that the valuation of your building is correct.
Yeah, and as a homeowner, if you're not working out for me, you got to go. Real simple. Like this is people's lives we're playing with. Like we can't have that. And the very next question is why. In the case of the condo, does a board officer do the appeal for all the PIN numbers in the condo, or every owner do it and cite the same reason? So if you have, this is just my opinion, if you have more than 4 units, the president or whoever you guys voted is who should be filing the appeal, and they should list every PIN number on that appeal form. That's how it should be done. You can do it individually, but again, that's just not something I would recommend you guys do. Our home is in a trust. Can we submit a reassessment? Probably mean appeal. Has been in the family for 63 years. So as long as whoever is in the trust, whoever the trustee is, also owns the property. So as long as that information matches, right, they can file the appeal. But if it does not match, they cannot file the appeal. When can a new homeowner file an exemption? This is a loaded question. So as if the property was owner occupied January 1 of the taxable year, that property qualifies for the exemption. If it was not owner occupied January 1 of the taxable year, then they do not qualify for the exemption. So for the bill we just got, that property had to have been owner occupied January 1 of 2020. If it was not, then they did not qualify. Last question of the hour. What if I recently bought a home at a higher price than the assessed value? Is it better to correct the assessed value to match the sale price? So if I understand the question correctly, you're saying, what if I bought my home for more than what the assessor's office says it's worth? You bought it for more than what the assessor said it was worth. So what's going to happen is you're going to file your appeal. You're going to send in your documentation. We're going to see that you bought it for more, and we can't lower it because you bought it for more, right? So that actually happened to my little sister recently. I was very frustrated because I told her I worked here and she didn't listen to me. But when did little sisters listen to big brothers? Ever? Never going to happen. But
And one thing to remember for the homeowner who just asked that question is we when we're assessing your home, we're also looking at homes like yours. And so we have to assess homes like yours in the same way as yours. So the price that you paid for your house, there might be other people who paid lower prices for houses that are similar to yours, and we consider them all together so that everyone's treated equally. So it's possible that you might have paid more than other people did for a similar home at the same time, and that's why your assessed value might not necessarily be the same as the value you paid for it. Why do we do it that way? Consider the opposite. Consider that you own a home
yes.
that hadn't been purchased for the last 20 years, but it's the same as the home that you just bought. We need to treat those two homes the same way. We don't want to treat people who bought their homes recently differently from people who had homes for a long time. They're the same homes. They should be treated the same under the law. I just wanted to take one last question here in the chat. There was a question about, hey, I'm getting lots of mail from lawyers saying that they can help me out on this. You are the expert on your own home, and appealing at our office is free, and it's just about data. And you don't even have to provide the data. And people who appeal on their own, more and more people appeal on their own. Lots of people do this. You'll have lots of company and hundreds of thousands of people. You don't have to do that. And we invite you to, you've done a great job in gathering information here on the Zoom. You can get lots more information on the site. It's so easy to appeal yourself. You really don't need to use folks. It's your money, but we've tried to make this very easy. It's never been easier. And it's about your home. You're the expert on your home, and we've tried to make this process easy, and it's free. So why not do that? That said, there are people who can help you if you feel like you want to pay for a service to do that.
Okay.
Chris, can we? There's one special question they asked: is the home improvement a new exemption?
The home improvement exemption is not a new exemption. It's been around for a long time. We got a lot of information about what qualifies for it and what doesn't. It has to do with the kind of building permit that was filed. Teresa or Hector, you want to provide the finale here with your expert response on this one? You could do better than I can on this exemption.
Yeah, go ahead, Hector.
So basically, when you are pulling your permit, you want to, when you're pulling your permit, if that work that you did, that improvement on your property actually added square footage to your property, made your building bigger, wider, taller, if it added to the actual structure of the property, those are the kind of things that we're looking for. We're not talking about like wallpaper. We're not talking about
new cabinets in the kitchen.
Yeah, like cabinets, countertops. Like we're not talking about cosmetic stuff. We're talking things that actually change the structure of the property. But we do it on our website. I don't know exactly where it is, but on our website, we do have it. Are you put it in the link? Are you put it in the comments already?
Yeah, definitely. What's
Thank you
not
so
covered
much.
is an improvement. I put
Yep.
it in the chat. Oh, I can put that in the chat as well. What is not covered? Most of the items that are not covered, like your soffit and your paint decor and things like that,
Yeah.
electrical system or plumbing system, those things are not covered. So yeah, and you don't have to apply for it, as Hector said. You don't have to apply for the exemption. Once you pull your permit, then our office will be notified based on the permit that you received. So these are the things that are not covered.
Thank you so much, because I was scared to move. I've been having issues the whole time. I'm like, everything's working right now. I don't want to move my mouse. I don't want to move nothing. Like,
This is
Okay,
the world we live in.
so let me, at this point, let me say thank you on behalf of the entire audience, and thank you from the chamber to Fritz, Hector, Teresa, Michelle. Thank you so much. This has been very informative. And what I would also, so the web addresses that people can go to are in the chat. I see there are a number of detailed answers that are in the chat. The PowerPoint, somebody was asking about that. Is it okay if we ship that out to everybody to all the audience? Is that fine?
you got to
Okay.
ask Calvin Harris. He's the boss.
Fine.
Absolutely. Well, I'll get that to you, Byron.
Okay, and now there are a lot of questions. You guys answered a lot of questions. There are a lot of questions that people had. What should they do if they have a specific burning question? How can they can access your website? Is there another thing they should do or you suggest?
They
Yes.
can go to cookcountyassessor.com. I'm going to
I
share
have
my
I'm
screen.
gonna
and-
drop it in the link, Hector.
Okay, go ahead, and I'm going to show them how to do it
I'm
too.
gonna
Give
drop
me
it in.
back to Zoom.
Yeah,
Share
I'm gonna
screen.
everyone. Here you go.
So you go to cookcountyassessor.com. Teresa just put the link in the comment section, but maybe you're trying to do it right now. Click that link or go to contact, general contact, and you just fill this information out. It goes directly to myself and to Teresa and another coworker named Michelle, and we jump in and we answer these bad boys all day.
Okay, thank you so much. And I do want to remind people that on the 18th, January 18th, we will be having another meeting with the tax assessor's office staff. That meeting is for business property and commercial property. If you have such a property or you know folks in Hyde Park Township, please encourage them to attend. The registration link for that meeting is now in the chat. So thank you, everybody, for coming out. We appreciate you folks. Fritz, Hector, Teresa, Michelle,
Thank you,
thank you
guys.
so much.
Thanks, everybody. See you later.
Thank you,
Really appreciate the
everybody.
opportunity. Take care out there.
Thank you.
Stay safe. And always reach out to us if you need anything. Thank you.